Got it.
All right, here we go. We're recording. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Coach Melissa, and Coach Darren is here with me. If I point, it's probably not the same square that you're looking at. And we are excited to bring together our powerhouse teams. He calls his team Action Jackson, and my team is called the Wintertime Crew. And we've been here for a while. We're kind of some of the old school, old guard now of veteran coaches, but we have a little unique history. And that is actually, my husband is here on the call. My husband's known Darren longer than I have, and Darren's known my husband. They were college roommates when we went to school together at Azusa Pacific University. I was their RA. I was in charge of these two guys, which didn't work very well. And then later, when I started working at the feeding company, Darren came in a little bit after that. So Darren got referred in. So the referral thing obviously is working. So we were sad to not be able to be together in person with you guys at Mastermind this year, but we wanted to kind of get together and do something. We had a lot of people asking if we were going to do something to get together. So Darren took the lead to go look on the website of the theme, and he reminded us of a couple of things. So we got the definition that was listed on the website this year, which was unlock the best version of you, or that's listed as a theme going in for next year. And so I'm going to just read the definition, and we're going to use that as our springboard today as we get started. So it says Mastermind is the most anticipated personal growth event of the year, designed to inspire, motivate, and challenge your way of thinking. If you're interested in unlocking the very best version of you, mastering the next chapter in your personal and professional life, and are looking to become a part of a supportive, growth-minded community, this event is for you. So I think if I were Barth Eddy or Derek Jones, I'd be saying, if you're ready, say I'm ready. And Darren, I'm going to hand it over to you to kick off a little bit more of what we're going to be talking about today.
Great. Yeah, if we can start the slides as well.
Got it.
If that's working here. Good afternoon, everybody. Darren Jackson here. And yes, I was referred in by Coach Melissa. So referrals do definitely work for us here, so you can see us there on the screen. One of your questions might be, why are we doing this today? Why are we getting together like this today? Why regurgitates? For some of you guys, you've been with us for years, and why should we do this? And we believe, Melissa and I both believe that, people need to be reminded more than educated. And the average person needs to be reminded about 7 or 8 times, at least I do, before I get it. You can ask my wife actually on that. And so it's very important that we remind you of some of this stuff and remind ourselves, frankly, of this kind of stuff. And so we really want to bring the thunder to you guys in terms of what we've heard in the past, and bring some good content and some good value, and really just have you guys walk away with hope and some confidence and some inspiration and some motivation from both Melissa and I. We're going to be going pretty fast here. Not everything's going to be up on the screen, so that's why we're recording this. So you may want to listen to this back maybe even once or twice, because there's a lot of material we're going to be covering. We may even have a special guest at the end, Melissa,
Maybe.
Perhaps. And so when Melissa and I were talking about the idea of doing this, we were trying to really break it down into, what are the main 3 things that we want to talk to you guys about. And those 3 points of focus that we've found over the years of Mastermind, number 1 is talking about mindset. Such an important thing, that we have the right mindset. Number 2, that we have the right motivation. And number 3, that we have the right inspiration as well. So we want to unlock the best in all of you guys. That's one commonality that we have on our teams, is we all know that we want to grow ourselves and grow our businesses. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is actually mindset. So if we can go to the next screen there. So you got a little definition there. We want to challenge your mindset, and mindset is the intention, thoughts, and choices of how we show up. It's the established set of attitudes that we have, and the thoughts and beliefs that shape you and your behavior. So your mindset is actually what creates discipline. And when you change your belief, then the performance follows. So a question just to kind of challenge ourselves from the beginning here is, how do you want to show up? We got 5 months left in the year. How is it that you want to show up in this crazy year that we've had of 2020? How do you want to show up and really stay curious about the way that you want to show up more intentionally? And another challenging question would be, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good is your mindset right now? If you just jot that down, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good is your mindset? And what's the truth about the story that you're telling yourself this year? Sometimes we got to be able to get out of our own way. So how can I get out of my own way when it comes to my mindset? Okay. I think Melissa and I both believe that our minds are our greatest assets. In fact, there's a Greek word called metanoia. If you want to write this down, it's metanoia. And it's a Greek word that means a change of mind, a change of mind, a change of mindset. And then as Napoleon Hill would say, to think is to have your mind turn steadily towards something. And we become what we think about. So, from my mastermind memories, Napoleon Hill, the Think and Grow Rich is a big one, as well as Smart Talk with Lou Tice. Some of you guys have been around with us long enough to remember Lou Tice. So Lou Tice one time said at Mastermind that all meaningful and lasting change begins on the inside and ultimately works its way out. So any change that I want in my life has got to start in my mind to have that metanoia type of conversion.
Darren,
Okay?
so with my Lou Tice memory?
Go for it, Melissa.
You brought up Lou Tice, and the memory that I always have, this is our Mastermind Rewind, is rewinding back to Lou Tice, is he talked about when we're creating goals and sometimes we can't envision the goal, so we just don't set the goal. Or for those of us who are more on the specific side, I can't see how it could happen, or people who are ethical or scouts, well, I don't want to lie to myself, so therefore I'm just not going to set a goal. But what Lou Tice said was you create the what and you invent the how. So when you put down what you want to do, then your subconscious mind goes to work on how it's going to get done. And so I have to always kind of constantly remind my integrity folks of don't tell yourself you're lying to yourself if you don't happen. It could change along the way or turn out a different way. But that Lou Tice, create the what, invent the how, is always the thing that he's brought up that stuck out to me.
Yeah, I believe also, that's a good point. I think also, Melissa, isn't he the one that said, I get to instead of I should or I have to? I think that was one of the changes in the mindset too, is I get to. When we say I should or I have to, we automatically kind of rebel against that. But when we think I get to, that's a big difference there too. So, unfortunately, we all have problems or challenges with our thinking though. And if you want to jot some of these down or just, listen to this, one is lack of focus. Okay. Of all the years this year, lack of focus can definitely be a problem with people's thinking. There's all kinds of weapons of mass distractions, as you would call it. So there's lack of focus. There's lack of purpose. A lot of people have a lack of purpose. Some people are constantly making short-term decisions. Okay, so we got lack of focus, lack of purpose, constantly making short-term decisions. A sense of overwhelm. Anybody feel a sense of overwhelm this year? Amen, hallelujah. Okay. A sense of overwhelm. Number 5 is not living the life that they want. So 4 is a sense of overwhelm. Number 5, not living the life that they want. And number 6, one of the real epidemics right now is loneliness. People are starving for connection. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this today. We wanted to get on here and connect with you guys as well, as much as we can. So really, we want to make principle and character-based choices and decisions, but we keep getting in our own way because of these challenges. So what do we do about it? So when Melissa and I were talking about it, one of the things that we came back to is the whole idea of intake, association, and affirmations. Okay. these are the things that influence our mindset. So intake, again, is what you take in. What are the books? What are the podcasts? What are the music? You got to be very selective and intentional. I'm going to say that again. Be very selective and intentional about your intake, because what you feed your mind is what your mind attracts. What you feed your mind is what your mind attracts. So how is your intake serving you right now? What are the pictures? What are the images in your mind? That's what we're ultimately drawn to, is the pictures and the images in our mind. So there's the intake, there's associations. And under associations, I want you to put in there, who gets to get you? Who gets to get you? Who deserves you? Who deserves your time and your energy? Who gets to get you? Who deserves you and your time and your energy? These are your connections. And we want to make sure that these are the right connections. You've got the right connections, okay? Just so you guys know, Melissa and I just keep the good ones and we let go of the rest, okay? So if you're on our team, you're good. You're the right connections,
A+
okay?
clients, all of you.
Number 3 is affirmations. So affirmation, how do you talk to yourself and what do you believe about yourself? How do you really talk to yourself? You know, if you say, oh, I don't talk to myself. Yeah, we all talk to ourselves, okay? So we all need emotional support and encouragement as well. And then I think fourthly is, if I can add one, would be having that sense of purpose. Having that sense of purpose. That's where all true success begins.
And I'm sure, Darren, you and I have both seen this play out in all of our people currently. I mean, who would have thought in March that we would still be where we are today? But how many of you guys put your mindset to work, you challenge yourself, and just said, like, come hell or high water, like, I'm moving forward with my business. You know, Jenny's on this call. Jenny just hit her year-end 2020 goal last week. And I've got Dave Irwin. He is about to hit his goal, I think, this week or next. And so, you know, it's amazing that you guys are still going so strong, but it was, you know, so intentional with the mindset as we started into this thing. And we just want to encourage you, because so often we hear people say, like, mastermind is the juice that just gets me through the rest of the year. And so just that reminder, I know, like, in the personal circle and health, like, I was literally just about to cancel my membership with my trainer right as COVID hit. And she immediately snapped into gear and said, I'm taking everything online, and she adapted. And it was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I don't have an excuse. Like, I can still go. But this is what she told all of us. She goes, you know, when this whole COVID thing is all over, there's going to be people who, you know, they gain 20 pounds, 30 pounds, whatever. And what they're going to tell themselves and what they're going to tell other people is, you know, oh, it's because of COVID I gained 40 pounds. And she's like, and people will agree with them. Like, well, of course it is. Yes, absolutely. And so she's like, you know, or you can choose today to not let that happen. You can choose today to, you know, stick to a workout routine, to stick to your healthy eating and things like that. And so again, it was that idea of, what's the affirmation? Am I going to tell myself, like, I have all the excuses in the world because of COVID? Or is it like, nope, I still have goals in front of me and I'm going after it? Darren, how about you?
No, I totally agree. And I've had people on this call too that they called their shot. And that's the thing. You want to have this whatever it takes mindset. We've got to develop a whatever it takes mindset and have a made up mind, you know. Beverly Buffini, I can, I will, I believe, you know. Do we really believe that? That we can, we will believe? A lot of people on this call do. And COVID or no COVID, they're marching forward. You know, they're listening to what Brian said about, hey, yeah, this isn't, you know, this is real and everything like that. But the people in our group are people that have that resilience. They have that resilient mindset. The other things on the mindset is that, remember, my thoughts control my life, but I can control my thoughts. I would actually write that one down. My thoughts control my life, but I can control my thoughts. Okay, so it's I can change the way I feel by changing how I think, because the way I think determines the way I feel, and the way I feel determines the way I act. And that's, I think, what Melissa, what you were talking about is the people that have marched forward like that, they still had this whatever it takes kind of mindset and that thinking that changed the way they feel and the way they act. You know, if you just kind of go along with the news, and of course you're going to get swept away into that stuff, you know, but every behavior is based on a belief. Every behavior is based on a belief. So what do you believe and who do you want to think like? What do you believe? If there's people on your team that you look up to or something like that, great. You know, talk to them. What, you know, get into their mindset. What are they thinking? It doesn't mean you have to be them. We're all unique and everything like that, but give them a call, pick up the phone, give them a call. You know, what are they doing differently? You know, and then lastly on the mindset, I'm going to hand this over to you, Melissa, is I love the idea of adopting kind of a both and mindset. That's been talked about at Mastermind too, when it comes to your main priorities in life. You know, it doesn't have to be either or, it could be both and. I have a client that, you know, some of you guys might be mothers out there. You know, I had a client before who did really well pretty much throughout the whole year, except for the fall. And what happened was she goes, Darren, I don't know why, but my business stinks in the fall. And I said, well, what are you doing during the summer? Because we know that whatever we do affects our business 90 days from now. And she goes, well, I'm a mom, you know, and I just decide to be a mom. And I'm like, that's great. I go, how about this though? How about if we pick one thing in the system and that one thing happened to be Popeyes? And how about if we do 10 of those, and instead of doing them by yourself, why don't you take your kids with you, you know? So she took her kids with her, and guess what happened? She did it. She did 10 Popeyes a week for the whole summer. And that fall, she had the best fall she'd ever had. And she goes, Darren, that wasn't the best part of it. She goes, the best part of it was I adopted that both and mindset instead of either I was a mom or a business owner. I had the best fall I ever had, but it also, the best thing was that it taught my kids the value of a work ethic, because what she did was once they went to work with mommy, they got to have yogurt or ice cream or a movie afterward as a reward. So that's that. So Melissa, I'm going to have you hand it over to you on this mindset thing here. Uh-oh. You are muted, my friend.
Do you guys see the stability bowl screen?
Yes.
Is it okay? Good. I would say one of my, like, and Darren brought this up too. The one of the biggest mindset shifts was the first time that Brian ever presented the stability bowls, stability, success, significance, and he had these crystal bowls with the purple water inside. I would love to see by a show of hands if you were there and you saw it. And he has since teased it out to kind of explain a little bit more, like, what does it mean to be in financial stability or financial success or business stability or business success. And so, but here's what I remember, what I recall happening so clearly is, here was Brian, he had these beautiful Waterford crystal bowls, he had this pitcher of water, and he was pouring into the top bowl. All the other bowls were empty, and he starts pouring into stability, and he was talking about, you know, notes, cards, calls, and Popeyes, and all the basic things. Or maybe it's you know, financially putting money from, you know, checking to savings every month and having that auto deposits, or, you know, whatever the things might be to have stability in place. And so success was empty, stability was empty, and significance was empty, and stability was almost full. It was just, the water was right up to the brim. And here he stood with the pitcher in hand, right hovered over the stability bowl, and he looked at the audience and he said, so when I reach stability, what do I do next? And the audience unanimously shouted to him, pour into success. And he stopped us all and said, no, I keep pouring into stability and it overflows into success. And then he allowed that bowl to fill up, and then we saw success poured into significance. That was, I think we figured out, this originally presented around 2004 or 5 was when he first did that. And so now to have seen this played out in so many of your lives for 15 years, of how you did the basics the notes, calls, and pop-bys, and notes, calls, and pop-bys, and notes, calls, and pop-bys. And it has allowed you to overflow into success and overflow into significance. And seeing some of you about to, possibly retire, or a lot of my clients are really talking seriously of like, what does that look like? But to be at a place to be able to even have that discussion, not just, leave it on the table and, I have to leave the business now abruptly and I never put a plan in place or anything like that. So that was a big mindset shift for me as a coach. I know for so many of my clients, but I just recall him cutting the audience off and saying, no, guys, you got to change your mindset on this. Keep doing the things that got you to stability and allow that to bring you your success. Darren, how about you?
No, I agree. I mean, it's interesting this year because as much as people don't want to compare to each other, I get a lot of, hey, coach, how's everybody doing on the team? How's everybody else doing? And the ones that have been doing this, that have been pouring into stability, doing the fundamentals, financially, business-wise also, they're having at least as good a year as they have, the ones I've had for years. If not, they're having record years, and these are not one-hit wonders, okay? You guys have been in our system for years. We appreciate you now more than ever, okay? Because you're not one-hit wonders. We've had plenty of one-hit wonders, right? Which makes us appreciate you guys, the loyal ones, that much more. So again, if we don't express our gratitude enough, thank you for hanging in there with us. And we want to pour back into you guys. But again, the point is, if you want to know how most of our clients are doing, they're having at least as good a years, if not record years this year. Not just lenders, but our realtors as well, right? And so that's kind of where I've seen it. It's so cool. Melissa referred me in almost 17 years ago, and it's the sequence of success is really what's made the most sense to me in the whole entire system. And we've both gotten to see it in you guys' lives, not only in the business and financial circles, but in the other circles of life too, and all the blessings and all the joy that's come as a result of that. And just, we want to say today, keep pouring into stability, keep pouring into the fundamentals, business-wise, financial-wise. If you guys have a question for Melissa or I, or even somebody on the team, don't be afraid to ask it. Don't be afraid to go back to some of this stuff too. Go ahead, Melissa.
And I think I think I've heard, over the years, why did Brian introduce this? And a story that I heard from some of the coaches, that the first year we ever did the peak experience, and it was peak producers back then, I heard from some of those coaches that had clients that attended that very first year, that their clients came home after that very first event and their business tanked. And that was back in the day when you got to be nominated to go to the event. It was a big deal to go to peak producers back then. And that some of those people's businesses just tanked the next year. And the reason why is because they kept telling their coaches, hey, I'm a peak producer now. I don't need to do notes, calls, and pop-bys anymore. And their mindset was, I can just start pouring into significance now, right? I'm good. And that was what brought forth this idea of keep pouring into what got you there, keep doing those fundamental things. So that was, again, another mindset shift that kind of amongst the coaches was the story behind the story. So another big mindset shift for me was Allison Levine. I don't know if you guys, she's come twice. The first time she had not reached the summit of Mount Everest, and the second time she had. She was just a couple hundred yards short, I think, the very first time. And but her explanation, when people talked about summiting Mount Everest, I had absolutely no clue what that entailed. And so I'll do the shortened version when she talks about you're at base camp, and there's camp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's not like you just go up Mount Everest. It's you're at base camp and you go to camp 1 and you acclimate, and then you come back down to base camp. And then you go to camp 1 and camp 2 and come back to 1 and base camp. And then you acclimate 1, 2, 3, back to 2, 1, base camp. And you keep doing that. So climbing Mount Everest is like you've climbed that mountain 5 times by the time you actually get to the top. And so the thing that she talks about is sometimes you're going downhill back to base camp again, but you're still climbing Mount Everest. And her saying was that sometimes progress and direction are not equal. And I would say for some of you guys that maybe aren't having your best year ever right here, and coronavirus really has affected your business, maybe you're feeling like, I feel like I'm going downhill, or this isn't the way that I thought this was going to go. And I think for you to remind yourself of sometimes climbing Mount Everest, you're coming back to base camp. You're still climbing this way. You know, I'm going this way, but I'm still climbing Mount Everest. So progress and direction aren't always equal. That was a big aha shift for me. Darren, any others in terms of just mindset shift before we switch back to the next
No,
topic?
I think we're ready to get motivated. I think we've given enough on mindset here.
Well, as far as motivation, I think if I remember correctly what I put on this next screen, let's see. You know, one of the fun things of Mastermind was always the giveaway train. Do you guys remember that was like a big deal? Like, woo, woo, and we'd have like, dun, 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 big like party and all that stuff. So I was going through, I mean, I found this many workbooks, but that's not all.
That's it.
And I found this, which was 2014, I think it was. The topic that year was all in to win. And what I realized is we did a little giveaway that year of these lovely DVDs and CDs. And you know, when Brian talks about Mastermind is like his Oprah giveaway, because he loves to give stuff away. And I was like, well, if it's our Mastermind, Darren and I should be able to give stuff away too. And so I noticed that there's a little code on this thing that still works. So for all of you who have never been to a Mastermind, here's your chance to go for free. If you go to buffiniandcompany.com/all-in-to-win, there's an access code it will ask you for, which is CHIPS all in, and you will have the online access to this group of, this is when Brian originally talked about the immigrant edge and the immigrant mindset and goal scoring from Joe Nigo and 7 steps to an unstoppable business. So that is our gift to you today, and hope you guys enjoy that. And now go enjoy Brian giving you Mastermind. So, all right, so motivation. Darren, what have you got for us?
Yeah, our gift is a link to you guys. There you go. That's what us coaches can afford right there. No, I'm just kidding with you. So motivation, I mean, gosh darn, these guys, Zig Ziglar and Lou Holtz, you know, there's so many different characters that have come to Mastermind, but it's hard to top Zig Ziglar, Lou Holtz. So, but here's the definition to start with: is motivation is an outside influence that causes you to do something or act in a certain way. So it is external. I just for fun, I wrote down a couple of quotes, motivating quotes. Brian used to say with his kids that the beatings will continue until morale improves. And I don't know if you guys remember, those of you that have been with us a long time, he said that romance without finance equals an ambulance. I love that one. But we all have 3 main drives in terms of our motivation. This isn't on the screen here, but one is affection and approval. The second is security. And then the third is control. So again, the 3 main drives we have is affection and approval, security, and control. So one of the years working at Buffini & Company, we had a motivating phrase of work hard, have fun, and get it done. I don't know about for you, Melissa, but that worked for me. You know, it's very easy. Work hard, have fun, get it done. You know, that really motivated and directed us, along with outplan, outwork, and outmotivate. So say that again: outplan, outwork, and outmotivate. You know, anything that gets in your way, whether it be COVID or whatever it might be. But yeah, the late great Zig Ziglar has to be one of my all-time favorites when it comes to motivation. So I'm just going to share some of the quotes with you guys really quick. We might be able to send these to you guys too, but maybe just think about these things as if it's the first time you've heard them. When he was questioned on how temporary motivation lasts, he said, of course motivation is not permanent, but then again, neither is bathing, but it's something you should do on a regular basis, okay? In regards to our attitudes, he said, your attitude determines your altitude in life. Is my attitude worth catching? Might be a good question to ask ourselves. Is my attitude worth catching? On support and encouragement, he said, encouragement is the fuel on which hope runs. And on endurance, he said, persevere and never give up on yourself. I won't read all these. One more. On winning, he said, you were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. So am I planning to win, preparing to win, and expecting to win? Melissa, did you have any favorite Zig Ziglar isms? Or on the cheat sheet here?
I'm gonna skip till we get to Lou Holtz.
On the Lou Holtz, okay. And then I'm just going to read one more here, and we can send you some of these. But on love, he said that duty makes us do things well, but love makes us do them beautifully. I'll say it again. Duty makes us do things well, but love makes us do them beautifully. So rest in peace, Mr. Zig Ziglar. We're so glad that we got to learn from you. Lou Holtz is another beautiful man who knows a thing or two about motivation. And we've had the pleasure of hearing him speak at Mastermind as well. So one of the things he said before is that everything starts with a dream. Everything starts with a dream, and you're either growing or dying. When you just try to maintain, that's when you die. Melissa, did you want to say something about Lou here?
Well, I just remember him talking about casting a vision. And I mean, I think he came and spoke in 2005 or somewhere around there. And I remember him sharing the story of his wife being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And he said, the first thing I did, sounded very strange, first thing I did was I went and I bought the property next door to our home. And then I came home to her and asked her to envision what she wanted to build. And I thought, wow, what a beautiful, so she had something to look forward to and something to hope toward. And I just was so sad. Last week I heard on the radio that his wife just recently passed away. But that was 15 years ago. I was blown away. Every now and then I'd think about that. And I wonder if she's still alive. I haven't asked or heard or anything. And so 15 years of hoping. And it started with, let's buy that property and give you a dream to hope toward.
Think and grow rich, right? That's part of it. It's not just about the money, it's those rich relationships. So that's awesome. Thank you, Melissa. He said you have to have a purpose and a why. By the way, a little plug for one of my clients here, Melissa. I've got a client, Josh Forrester, with a book called Discovering Why. If you guys ever want to check that one out. Josh is out of Fort Collins, Colorado. So there you go, Josh. But there's 4 things everyone needs to get and stay motivated. So again, you guys may have heard this, but maybe we forgot it, So Lou says you got to have something to do. Number 1 is something to do. Number 2 is someone to love. Something to do, someone to love, something to hope for, and something to believe in. Something to do, someone to love, something to hope for, and something to believe in. So for those of you who maybe haven't found your purpose or your why yet, maybe just dwell on those things a little bit. What's something to do? What's someone to love, something to hope for, and something to believe in? So, thank you for that post, Albert, with Josh Forrester's Discovering Why. He'll give you some royalties there. Some of the other golden nuggets would be, count your blessings, not just your money. Every adversity in life makes you stronger. And I love, he's a bottom line pragmatic guy. He says, wherever you are, it's because of the decisions that you've made. And his 3 golden rules, you guys might remember this, is Number 1 is do right. Number 2 is do your best. And number 3 is show people that you care. Okay? So do right, do your best, and show people that you care. He says that when you follow those 3 rules, people know they can trust you, that you're committed to excellence, and that you care about them. Does that sound familiar to anybody? You can trust them, you're good at what you do, and from an excellence standpoint, and that you care about them. So, so one of the challenge questions Melissa and I wanted to challenge you guys with is, and ourselves, frankly, is what mediocrity are you accepting in your life right now? What mediocrity are you accepting in your life right now? You know, are you doing right and doing your best and showing people that you truly care? If you are, great. You know, but if not, what are you going to do about it? What's the mediocrity you're accepting in your life right now? So that's one. I think, Melissa, you're a John Gordon fan too. Do you want to speak a little bit about John Gordon and what he means from a motivation standpoint?
Yeah, I just, you know, it's like I didn't know too much about him when he came and spoke, but just that, just light up the room. You could tell there was pain in his past. And yet, and you know, there's this like, what, New Yorker, I think, right? Like kind of this like bottom line New Yorker kind of guy. And yet just, yeah, that's what I remember, that motivation that he brings to the audience of just the glow. You know, he just got that, never has, you know, kind of looks like he never has a bad day, but you know, there's some pain there, and he chooses to be, chooses the attitude that he carries in life. That's,
yeah, if I remember that right, that pain came from his father a lot. But anyways,
yeah.
there's a lot of, he had a tough dad. But
Yeah.
I just, one of the things I really respect and admire, you know, with Melissa and I being here for years is, you know, you love to hear when somebody's the same off the stage as on the stage. And I remember Brian saying to us, you know, maybe this is inside information, but you know, he's had a lot of speakers come and go throughout the years, and he goes, that guy, that John Gordon guy, he is the same off the stage as on the stage in terms of how joyful and how positive he is. And so that's not by accident, though, as Melissa's talking about. He says, you know, he takes a gratitude walk each morning, and on practicing gratitude, he says, when you're feeling blessed, you can't be stressed, or at least not as stressed. You know, when you're feeling blessed, you can't be stressed. And so he's a big believer in choosing faith over fear. You know, you got to choose faith over fear. I think Brian added, you know, choose your commitment over your circumstances. That's what Melissa was talking about earlier. A lot of you guys, you've taken a look at your business plans and your life plans, and you said, I'm still going to stay committed to this. And that's what gets Melissa and I up in the morning, is those of you said, you still say yes. You still say yes. Some of you guys have to make adjustments. That's okay. Some of you guys had to make adjustments up rather than down, you know, and we like that too, you know, but that's the thing that gets us going in the morning. When you say, Melissa? Darren,
that probably, there's been a couple of times, I mean, one of the jokes is like, you know, these guys kind of steal each other's material and there's nothing new under the sun, you know, sometimes there's that, but, and then there's sometimes where success leaves clues, as Brian likes to say. And I think, you know, between Sean Acor and John Gordon, and I know we've had a couple of other speakers that talk about the gratitude walk, or gratitude of some kind, have a gratitude practice. And you know, Brian finally pointed it out one time of, you know, do you hear how many of these guys mention that as a part of their success? That was a big aha for me of, oh yeah, like I've heard that now a couple of times. And I think it was when John Gordon said it, it was just that reminder of, you know, he's not the first person to say that's what has attributed to a success. And so take note, and like, you know, we should start implementing that. And we have. So that was aha from Brian, giving us a bigger picture of John and other speakers.
Yeah, I think, you know, Warren Buffett has never been at Mastermind, but he's been quoted a lot at Mastermind. He said that the one piece of advice I can give you is do what turns you on. Do something that if you had all the money in the world, you'd still be doing it. You've got to have a reason to jump out of bed in the morning. So I thought that was a very motivating type of thing. but some of you guys are still looking to find that motivation, and motivation is igniting by touching significant needs and focusing your attention. So significant needs and focusing your attention. Yeah, Annette Davis also just put in The Garden by John Gordon is another great new book as well. So check that out. So, but you've got to create and instill a vision that's greater than yourself for the long term. One of the other inspiring, I love to hear, I think all of us love to hear of speakers that, you know, they don't believe in themselves, but yet they keep getting up there. Les Brown is one of those. If you guys remember Les Brown, he's a great speaker at Mastermind, and he wasn't born a great speaker. He was championed by another person, and he admitted that sometimes you have to believe in somebody else's belief until your own belief kicks in. Maybe even your coach's belief in you. Okay. I know Melissa's done that with some of you guys, a lot of you guys. Sometimes you have to believe in somebody else's belief in you until your own belief kicks in. So in the meantime, though, you got to affirm, I've got this. You know, I've got this. I have something of value to say and do. And one of Les Brown's affirmations is that he will be an instrument of hope to people. You know, are you guys instruments of hope to people? Most of you are, because I know a lot of you guys, and you guys are an instrument of hope to people. So find out what really matters to you. What really matters to you in terms of motivation? What do you really and truly value? What do you want your legacy to be? For those of you globals, that's probably easier than the specifics, but you know, what do you want your legacy to be? Because once you find that internal motivation, that's what's going to sustain you. And Brian has said, the day that you decide is the day that you win. The day that you decide is the day that you win. So what are you going to decide? Okay, so what about you, Melissa? Any other memories of motivation?
Yeah, I mean, Les Brown was awesome. You know, you gotta be hungry was his big takeaway line. But I think for us, the line, my husband and I both, in fact, my husband is a teacher and has it when he returns to school at some point in our lifetime, has Les Brown's quote of, you know, do what is easy and your life will be hard. Do what is hard and your life will be easy. And that we have seen play out, you know, I see it play out with you guys, you know, the ones that are diligent to, you know, the basics of notes, calls, Popeyes. You do that hard work first and the payoff comes. We see that in parenting, you know, if we do the hard stuff, you know, you end up with, you know, a easier you know, road to go down. If you do what's hard with money, and Tom and I have talked about that multiple times of, you know, early on we had some harder conversations, or we started budgeting and we started doing this thing and having these financial meetings like Brian recommended. And now, like, oh, it's not hard anymore. You know, we are able to, you know, we did the hard stuff first and the easier stuff follows. So that from Les Brown has been such, you know, that was a big motivator and light bulb moment for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Melissa. You know, getting on the same page with your loved ones. You know, sometimes I remember people would come to Mastermind and, gosh, I wish my husband would come with me. You know, I wish my wife would come with me, you know, that type of thing. And I know that Brian would always say, you know, lead with your feet, not with your mouth. You know, they need to see you in action first. Lead with your feet, not with your mouth. And then once you do lead with your feet and they see a difference in you, then it's time to get on the same page with your loved ones. So, you know, just in regards to the financial, you know, maybe it's you get on the same page with the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, or you go to Financial Peace University. That was something that really helped us, was going to Financial Peace University and seeing who the nerd was and who the free spirit was, you know, and sometimes there's a little mixture in there as well, but good stuff there. Anything else for you in terms of motivation, Melissa?
I would say one of the other folks that I just remember is Diana Nyad. I mean, this gal attempted that swim from Cuba. I put the nice picture of her up there, not the one where she's stung by jellyfish. And I mean, there's just like, you can
half eaten by sharks.
Oh my goodness. She tells the story of her swim, 4 times failing in the swim from Cuba to the US. And at age 64, she does it. And how she does it, the story that she tells, going back to that mindset, that resolve. I mean, one of the little things she mentions is, there's a total sense of sensory deprivation. She's the first person that does this. I think maybe still the only, but without a shark cage. So she talks about, she used songs as her metronome. And so she had certain songs, and like this one, she said, if I sang the song 1,000 times, then I knew that I had swum for 9 hours and 45 minutes to the second.
Wow.
That's the just mindset of strength was amazing to hear from her. She talked about, her, I think it was like, I don't know if it was 1,000 sit-ups a day or whatever, like never having missed a day. When people go, what about Christmas? What about this? What about that? Every single day, like never missing a day. And so just that resolve is just one of the things that just jumped off the page to me with Diane and Nayad. Just very inspiring. Yeah. And this guy, John O'Leary, well, we'll talk about him first. Do we have time real quick, Darren, to do the breakout rooms like we talked about?
If you want to venture into that, we can, or if you want to do inspiration and then get to that, that's totally up to you.
Let me talk to tech support.
Okay.
Tom, are you available to, because I know one of the requests in getting us all on is we're going to attempt to do these breakout rooms, and the scariest thing is we want to make sure everyone gets back from the breakout rooms. But so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to name off some things while Tom's working on. He's going to put you guys in breakout rooms at random, about 5 or so people, because we want everyone to be able to talk. And we only want to give you guys like 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. So don't let one person rule. But I know many of you have been to Mastermind, but not everybody. Some of the things that we've kind of rewound and kind of brought up some names, and there's so many more of, Dr. Furman, Harvey McKay, Darren Hardy, Joe Ehrman, Chad Helmstetter. I mean, there's just so many speakers and topics and things like that. So what I'd love to have you do is introduce yourself and where you're from. If you've been to Mastermind, if you had a favorite presenter or topic that just really, what was it about that person or that topic that really resonated with you, or maybe you took from that day. And then if you guys have time, then you guys can kind of do a little networking amongst each other of, who's moving to or from your area, what's the best thing you love about your area. If for some reason you get cut off, we still have some stuff in store for you at the end of the call, a little surprise in store. So come back in if you have to log back in, do it. But Tom, will you give us the instructions for the breakouts?
Yeah, I'm going to put everybody in breakout rooms. Oh, hi, by the way, my name's Tom. That's my hot wife, Melissa. I'm going to put you guys in breakout rooms of 4 to 5 and give you about 10 minutes. I'll give you a 1-minute warning when we're getting close to being done. So as I send it out to you, it'll say accept or add to breakout room. You click on it and you should go right to it. So hopefully with that, this will work, but you know how technology is.
Yeah, so we'll be back in at about 2 o'clock or 5 o'clock Eastern time here after the breakouts.
All right, here we go. And everyone should be getting a link to add to join the breakout rooms. Perfect. Billy, Catherine, Sam, you should have a link down the bottom of your screen that says join breakout room. And Peter, you also. There we go. Catherine, just look for that link down at the bottom of your screen that says join breakout room. Same with you, Peter. There we go. Catherine, just look for a link down your screen that says join breakout room. Same thing with you, Billy. There you go. There we go. Catherine, got one or two more left. Catherine and Peter, there you go. Perfect. Peter and Billy, are you still having trouble there? Peter, are you able to join a breakout room or no? Billy's on, there we go. One left. Peter, I'm not sure how the iPad works. I see you're on an iPad. Not sure if you're getting a link there or not. Hello, Lauren.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good, good. Are you just joining us?
Yes, I didn't realize it had already started. Sorry.
No problem. Hey, everybody's in breakout rooms. I'm going to add you to
Okay,
the breakout room here in just a second.
great. Thank you.
Second, and I will add Lori. Let's see what breakout rooms are available. Basically, they're just kind of networking a little bit and kind of saying hey and things they remembered. So I'm going to put you in breakout room 6. All right, so here you go.
Thank you.
No problem. Should get a link on your screen that says join breakout room. Awesome. Charlene,
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Okay, when this is a new computer, and when I was in the group, I couldn't access my audio, so I
Oh, no.
just got it fixed, but then it kicked me out of the group. So
That's
I
okay.
think I was in
I'll,
group 9,
group
but
9. Let me add you to it. I'll put you
I
right
think.
back in.
Thank you.
Give me just a second. Charlene, going to assign to number 9. Here it comes. Wendy, are you all done with your group? There you go. Now I got you. Are you all done with your group?
No. The budget turned. No. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. It's just because I'm on my desktop and I don't have a mic or a camera. So I
Okay.
dial in, but I want to go back to my group
Okay. What group? Do you remember which group you were in?
where Brenda Devlin.
Let's see. What was the name? Brenda Devon. All right. I'll put you in right now. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Let's see.
Patrick Gillis is there.
Brenda, Genevieve, Sam, and Billy. And Brenda.
Yeah, Janet. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can do this for you. Let's see.
I was trying to figure it out when you said Billy, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do?
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Let me move to number 1. That's odd because it's showing in the room. Hold on. Let me assign you. Let me redo this. All right. You should be good to go.
Perfect.
Hi, Elizabeth. Oh, Elizabeth's in the back. Elizabeth's not here. Peter, you still have not been able to get on?
Okay, did it work?
I think so. It
Well,
looks like other people-
Everyone's coming back.
Oh, yeah.
everyone's coming back. We're all back.
Yeah. It's slowly going to start to populate and come in.
Hey,
Hi.
Tom, it's good to see you.
You too.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's nice seeing you and Melissa work together. I love that.
you know what? I mean, she picks up my slack all the time. So
Does she now?
anytime when she's like, hey, can you help me with this? I'm like, I'm a pro at this. Not really, but I have to teach online, so I'm used to it.
Oh, that's great. At least you have the technology.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. All right, we're getting our people back and wonderful. All
I'm
right.
curious, Tom, how do you coach golfing via Zoom?
Well, you know what? I mean, YouTube videos.
For now, the season is
You off to 2:30.
postponed till February, so.
All right, we're back.
We're back. Darren's back. All right, we got everybody. All right, so I'm seeing some people. I didn't see how many people we had when we left this call, but
53.
okay. So,
I'm going to go ahead and start muting everyone.
all right. So yeah, mute.
I got it.
We are going to go and I think we're talking about the topic of inspiration. Is that where we are?
Inspiration. We've got the right mindset. We've got the motivation. Now we need the inspiration.
Now I got to share the screen again. See if I can do
Tell me
that.
when you get in there. We'll give people time to get back here a little bit.
All right, perfect. All right, so you want to talk about Darren, kind of the.
That's fine. Can you get to the definition of inspiration there?
Let me see. There we go.
There you go. All right, good. So inspiration, I love this one. To breathe life into something or someone. It's a divine influence that creatively stimulates thoughts and emotions. Inspiration comes from deep inside and needs to be pulled out. It was pretty cool in our little breakout session. We had Jim Reed from Maryland in there, and he was talking about something called the tribute. About his parents, or his father, I should say. And that was really, really cool to get to connect with Jim. And so if you're interested, it's the tribute. Jim Reed can tell you about that. Anyway, so as far as inspiration, Brian Buffini really, it was actually Mastermind 2007 that he focused a lot on inspiration, and he really admonished us to make our best effort to get inspired and to stay inspired. And he said, you need that energy, you need that passion, you need that fire. And so, when you live an inspired life, it's going to make your mind more happy and more joyful and more creative. It's going to bring out your potential more and allow you to utilize your gifts and your talents. It brings energy, it brings hope to your life. It gives you an opportunity to do what you love. It creates a zest for life. I love that word, the zeal or the zest for life when you have that inspiration. And that zest and that enthusiasm attracts the same. So you have to give it to get it. Okay, so do you want zeal? Do you want enthusiasm? You got to give it to get it. And it makes each day more meaningful too. So I'm going to give you basically 4 small steps. If you want to be an inspiration to others, number 1 is you want to take small steps. So if you're writing down here, you want to take small steps. Number 2 is put yourself in inspirational environments. Put yourself in inspirational environments. So have you been out in nature, music, those visually inspiring places for you? So put yourself in those inspirational environments. Number 3 is surround yourself with inspirational people. And we know it's more challenging to do that these days, okay? But you can still, the phones still work. Okay, so you can still pick up the phone. We're on this Zoom call right here. This is the next best thing to seeing you in person. So surround yourself with inspirational people. And then 4 is be a source of inspiration for others. Be a source of inspiration for others. So, because it's that awe of nature that inspires us. It's that improbable comeback, you know. Some of you guys, even in our breakout room, you know, we've got a gal, Debbie Correa, that's overcoming cancer right now. And she's resilient. She's getting after it. She's actually in San Diego right now. If I want to give her a shout out, her and her husband, even though we didn't have Mastermind, they still love San Diego. So they came out here. But that inspires us, an improbable comeback. Never ending devotion to someone or something. Never ending devotion to someone or something inspires us. And then, as Melissa was talking about with Diana Nyad, is the relentless pursuit of a worthy goal. You think that was a worthy goal, going through all those jellyfish and all those shark infested waters? I think so. So she had a relentless pursuit of a worthy goal. The cause has to be worth the cost. Okay. So, and to really be an inspiration, we need to risk more. We need to reflect more and be willing to do things that leave a legacy. So we got to risk more and reflect more. Did you want to touch on this, Melissa, at all?
Yeah. And you want me to,
Well, just in terms of things that inspire you or that you found to be an inspiration.
yeah, I mean, well, if I can go back to, like, you know, in terms of the mastermind person that I thought of was the story that John O'Leary, he came, in fact, I pulled out my book, the 2014 theme was actually Live Inspired. And that was one of the times that John O'Leary has come and spoken for us. But for me, like, what I remember was he had come a couple years prior to that, and he'd come to Peak Experience. And so it was all of my Peak Experience people that were like just raving about this guy named John O'Leary. And I was like, who in the world is John O'Leary? Like, well, how good could this guy be? And then he came in 2014 and spoke to us at Mastermind. So again, quick synopsis for those that haven't heard his story. So as a child, John O'Leary caught himself on fire, playing with gasoline and in the garage of his house, blows up his house, sets his house on fire, catches himself on fire, 100% of his body is burned. Probability of living is 0%. And I mean, to go from that to like speaking today, there's a long story there. I invite you to jump into that story. But one of the people who came along in his journey was the sportscaster Jack Buck, and came to visit him. You know, here's this little boy in the hospital that's been burned, and you know, somebody knew somebody who knew somebody who knew him. And Jack came to the hospital, and you know, he kind of, you know, explains, you know, kid, you know, wake up, you know, kid. When you grow up, when you get out of here, we're gonna have John O'Leary Day at the ballpark. And he tells the story, and then, you know, John, you know, can't really talk to him. He's a little kid, and Jack Buck goes down the hallway and asks the nurse, is he going to make it? And she says, no, there's just no chance he's going to make it. And he comes back the next day, and he comes back, and he comes back. But the wording, the thing that that Jack Buck spoke about was, what more can I do? And that was the thing that got John O'Leary internally inspired in the path to his own recovery. One man, and his book called On Fire goes through the story of all these different people, of the importance of the person who kept the rooms clean in the hospital, to, you know, physical therapists and things like that. And he goes through, you know, how each person, how all of us affect other people, and how we just, you know, have that opportunity to be that, you know, what more can I do person to somebody else. Darren, did you have, you want to go a little bit more, or do you have any recollection of that, or anyone else?
No, I remember him saying, I think it was him that said, I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. And that is such a great, great quote, and sometimes we have loved ones that don't love us back, and I think it's important for us to remember, hey, I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. That's unconditional love right there,
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but I wish we could actually see him or talk to him. I don't know.
His new book is called In Awe, and I just finished that this summer. And timely that it comes out in the middle of this pandemic. And again, the reason why we put this in the inspiration is because the tagline of his book is rediscover your childlike wonder to unleash inspiration, meaning, and joy. So here, here we are in the midst of pandemic times, and what can we do? And so when you were talking about like kind of the sources of return to nature and things like that, one of the things that he talks about in his book is returning to that sense of childlike wonder, and like looking at like what are some of the questions little kids ask, like why or why not, or things like that. Just looking at all different ways of taking in the world with kind of a sense of young eyes again. So definitely encourage you guys on that one. Let's see, Darren, you were kind of talking about some of the other.
Yeah, some of the other things, Brian has said, I love this. This is pretty easy to remember, guys, is, you've got to see it, you got to say it, and you got to seize it when it comes to inspiration. So when he says we've got to see it, you've got to see the vision and the desires of your heart. What's the vision? What's the desires of your heart? You got to see it first. Okay. And then you say it. You say it. You make up your mind and you affirm what's possible. You see it, you say it, and then you seize it. You do it now, you do it better, you do it best. One of my favorite quotes that all my clients pretty much know is I think it is my favorite quote is good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. That's what I want for myself. That's what I want for my family. That's what I want for my clients is good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. And so that's the kind of stuff that inspires me as well. And also, Brian would say, shine a light on your own path in order to light up someone else's. Do you remember that one, Melissa?
Yeah, and in fact, I think there's somebody else that maybe is on the call right now that
Could he light us up?
To join in. So far, it's just been me and Darren, but is our special mystery guest on the call right now?
Hey, Melissa, it's John O'Leary. How are you?
John O'Leary.
Who knew, man?
You video bomber.
Surprise.
Yeah. When invited, I'll come to the party. So you got to be very careful before you invite me to your party because you'll find me there. So and it takes quite a leverage to get me to leave the party too. So I'm really glad to be with everybody today.
You're getting all kinds of chat messages here. Holy crap, this is awesome.
It is awesome.
Hi, John. I'm Darren Jackson. I've never met you before, but I'm a coach of Melissa. Nice to meet you.
Coach Jackson, how are you, sir?
Good. Thank you so much. We've been talking about being our mindset, our motivation, and we really wanted to leave the end for inspiration with you. Melissa's got your new book, I think, here. I don't know how much she paid for it, but
I paid dearly for it. Melissa's an ambassador and a friend, and so it's great to be with both of you and all of your entire team.
Thank you. Could you maybe tell us some of the highlights of your new book on inspiration?
Yeah. So the first highlight is always try to launch product in the midst of a recession and a global pandemic, and you will find yourself wildly successful in doing so. Another way of saying that is this. I think too frequently we try to plan what tomorrow might look like. And in doing so, we miss the majority of the good that is found right now in the day. And so listen, man, I got big goals for the rest of 2020. I got a clear plan for 5 and 10 years out. But at the end of the day, I'm staying in my lane. I'm staying in my circle. I'm controlling what I can and letting go of everything else. And if you ask me in a nutshell, what is the book In Awe about? It's about returning to childlike wonder. It's about living wildly present in the moment, ferociously optimistic, in spite of some headlines and homeschooling and challenges with markets and everything else, in spite of all the garbage, the white noise, children believe even right now that our best days are in front of us, and that right now is good, that right now is good. And so what I would say to two coaches and everybody else that has ears to hear my voice is like, do you feel that way? Because the majority of our citizenship don't. They don't believe tomorrow is going to be better. They don't believe today is good. They don't believe that there are still heroes walking and working among us. But kids do. And so I wrote a book when the market was at an all-time high, when unemployment was at an all-time historic low, when everything in the markets had never been better. And even then, gosh, 94% of news stories when I wrote the book were negative. And this is a year and a half ago. So even though everything was pretty good and hunky-dory around us, the majority of what we read and saw in our social media streams was negative, reminding us of all that we aren't. And so I wanted to write a book for me and for my family. I wanted to write a book for my kids who are teaching me these lessons, because I know there will come a day, Darren, where they forget the lessons they're teaching me right now of what it looks like to be wildly faithful in spite of some reasons to give into fear. And so that's why I wrote the book. And I think it's incredibly inspirational. It's a hard time to sell it, if I'm being real with you. Yeah. But I wrote it not to sell it, but to share the message within it. We're doing a ton of podcasts where we gave away all the profits for the book to an organization called Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I'm just delighted with the impact that the book is continuing to have.
Yeah. Well, we're here to support and encourage you too, John. What you're saying takes me back to the Great Recession, actually. Melissa's had her client parties there. We've had our client parties there. And during the Great Recession, we had a client party up in a hotel bar in San Diego, just having a good old time. And somebody was at the bar and they were like, who are all these people? Yeah. And somebody goes, well, no, we're a bunch of realtors. And they go, well, who are you with? With Buffini. And they're like, shouldn't you guys hate each other right now? Like, we thought that you would hate each other and you just kind of go and be in your holes and your foxholes or something like that. And it's like, no, we're a part of a company that believes in personal growth and growing yourself and growing your business, and that we're not just each other's competition, that we're actually advocates for each other, advocates for growing ourselves.
And you play the thing, Buffini, and that's plural. Brian does this and Urban does it, but the entire family does this. That includes all of you. You play the long game. It's not about how many did I sell last month? How many did I move last quarter? It's about relationship. It's about having the end in mind. It's about doing work that you are so proud of, you're willing to hang it on the fridge and put your name on it. A story from Brian Buffini. I'm sure everybody knows that story. Can you put your name on it? Can you put your name on it? And if you're playing the short game where so many agents candidly are playing today, this is a painful season, man. It's hard for all of us, but it's really painful if you're playing only to like the short season, 1 month out. But if you have more of an eternal glance, if you have a longer vision, Simon Sinek would refer to as an infinite vision of what's possible in your life. There are lessons being taught to us right now if we have eyes to see them and ears to hear them and a little bit of wisdom to better understand them. And we can use the season to set us apart from our competition. So this is hard on a motivational speaker who usually spends his time on planes, traveling in and out of conference centers. But it's also a time of Advent, of renewal, and of rediscovering who we are and what we're going to do next in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. John, I'm also interested, as a speaker, one of the things we teach our clients is being creative and innovative, and we've had several clients this year like, oh man, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or, we believe that your energy follows your focus, obviously. Yes. And so I'm just curious for you in this season, is there anything you guys as a company have done to be more creative or innovative during this season where it's tough for speakers and everything like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I think it's tough on all of us. So I think all of our problems should always be weighed by the problems of those around us. And when I weigh mine by my friends in the neighborhood, I've got nothing to complain about or worry about. So I'm pragmatic and realistic about how blessed my family and I are. We've been planning for this for years as a family. But corporately, I don't think you can plan for losing 94% of your revenue in a couple of days. I mean, Tom Hanks got COVID-19, the NBA canceled their season, and then all flights stopped, and that was it. And so our entire business, I've got 8 employees that look to me to help keep their mortgages paid and their kids fed. Like, I take this very seriously. And it's all gone. It's all gone. And there was a day, you know, COVID-19 meant that most people that I work with can't work with me anymore physically. Like my office is empty. It's kind of a lonely space. But I look down the hallway right down there, and it's there right now if I turn the camera. There's a little green plant that I love. It's been my baby for years. I water this thing about 4 times a week. I just slowly bring this thing forward. And after about a week and a half of COVID, I looked to my left and the thing was browning. And I remember shutting my laptop, walking away from work and saying to myself, sorry to cuss, but I'm going to do it. Damn it. I'm not going to let this thing die on my watch. No one's around. No one's here listening to me cuss it myself. But I walk past that little green plant, go to the bathroom, grab the little watering can, fill the thing up, walk back over there. And I'm happy to report right now in early August, the thing is thriving. There is no brown. There is life. Renewal remains possible, not only for that little plant down the hall, but in our business. Even when we didn't see it coming way back in February or January. It remains possible for all of us in our marriages, in our singleness, with our addictions. This can be a time for profound rebirth. And so you asked, John, what are you doing organizationally? In the book, In Awe, we begin with a sense of wonder. And wonder means not only looking at things with like a new lens, like, whoa, what is that? It's a rock. You know, like kids see everything like through a lens of wonder. They're amazed by all of life. But it also means that they ask questions about everything. Frequently when we adults ask questions, and we ask far fewer than kids, but frequently when we adults ask questions, we ask questions to prove to someone else what we already know to be true. You know, what we already know to be true. We're trying to corner people. Kids don't ask questions because they know what to be true. They have no idea what is possible. And so they ask it with their hands completely open, facing upward, saying, tell me why. Why are things the way they are? What if? Why not? All these beautiful open-ended questions. For them, it's about doing life better. That's enough for them. But for us, it could be about real estate. It could be about reaching out to our partners right now. It could be about reaching out to our clients or prospects. It could be about completely reinventing ourselves as a broker, as a team, as a man, as a lady, as a leader, as a servant, in your health, in your faith walk, any area you want to focus on. And so we've been asking questions right now. One of the very first questions we asked is, what can we do with this? What can we do with this? And so we believe in generosity and giving, not only when you are on top of the world, but when you feel beat down by it. So that's why we gave away all the profits for In Awe to an organization called Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we've been able to make a difference even now in a season that many are trying to make it all about them. And I think if we make it all about us, we slowly go out of lens from the camera and disappear. But when we can make our lives a living example of service to somebody else, man, that's attractive. It may not sell a house today or tomorrow, but people will never forget it. They will never forget it. So I'm trying to model this right now, even during a difficult season. We're asking ourselves, with all of our network, all of our tools, all of our research, what can we do to put to bear to serve those around us? And so we began reinvesting in our podcast. We've doubled our podcast following over the last 5.5 months. We began doing a lot of coaching ourselves, from $0 in revenues to several $100,000 in revenue for our coaching model. It did not exist in February. It's now part of the Live Inspired model, because we're asking ourselves, how do we take what we know to serve the one in front of us? It's not about revenue. It's not even about keeping the lights on here. It's about living mission, just living mission. And in living out our mission, not only will we drive revenue and keep the lights on, in my mind, we're going to keep people alive. That's like, we keep people alive right now by loving them. In 2019, 1.5 million Americans attempted suicide. Maybe our job right now is not to sell houses. It's just to keep people alive during a very scary season when all of us feel wildly self-isolated. So that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, we're trying to watch top line revenue and bottom line profitability, but more than that, we're trying to encourage people to live inspired.
Wow. And you're given more, you know, again, not to go back to the Great Recession, but what do we have to, we weren't around for the 1918, epidemic or anything. So we went from, 90 something coaches down to 25 coaches. I don't know if you knew that or not, but, just an encouragement for you too, is that you will rise up again. You know that better than anybody, right? And so
I refuse flattery, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man, I'm such an ordinary guy. And so the only reason I said yes to the invitation is, one, I love you. I love who you serve. And then secondly, almost nothing I teach has anything at all to do with John and his wisdom and how great he is. It is all about holding up a big old mirror and saying, people, look what's possible. Look what's possible. You mentioned 1918. Man, look at the storms we've weathered over the last 1 century plus. Since 1945, we have weathered, I think, 13 recessions. 2 of them were great recessions. We've weathered a whole lot of pandemics in that same time frame. We've gone through some storms individually, and here we are. The foundation of our lives is firm. I believe God is in control. I think we are not here by accident. And I do believe that our best days are in front of us. Sometimes it's hard, it's painful, it's sad. You want to get mad and punch a hole in the drywall. That's fine. That's ordinary. That's living. Life is hard, indeed. But that doesn't mean that your best is not in front of you still.
So good. Melissa?
Oh, well, thank you, John. I love it. Do you have a couple more minutes to?
Yeah, of course. Hey, I'm at your pleasure, lady.
I've got a funny story and I've got a deep story, so I don't know which way to go.
Let's go with the funny. Let's make sure we get the funny in here.
I love the little kid at the very beginning of the story as you're talking about speaking to the little kids, and afterward the little kid that comes up to you and asks the very obvious question. Can you share that story?
There's like 11 of those within the book. I think I know which one you're referencing. So I was speaking to, when I'm in San Diego speaking to the Buffini family, I always try to sneak into schools at the same time. And so on this event, I believe I was either in Minneapolis or New York. I can't remember which one, but after speaking to the organization, we went into a little schoolhouse. And one of the kids who heard me speak, obviously moved by, comes up, gives me a hug. And then he looks up at me and says, "Whoa, mister, what happened to your hands?" I had an hour session with this little kid. He probably should have heard at some point that I got burned as a 9-year-old. So he probably wasn't paying the best attention during this time. I'm just dedicating my life into him. So I take a slice of humble pie, I kneel down and say, "Well, little buddy, when I was 9 years old, I was in a house fire. I lost my fingers, but I'm doing awesome today." And then this little guy looks at me and goes, "Oh my gosh, we had a speaker this morning. And when he was 9 years old, he was in a fire too, mister." And then he goes, "You two should meet. You two should meet." So listen, kids get the answers wrong all the time. And for those of you raising them right now, or your neighbors with them right now, or you've met one from time to time, you know that to be true. But I think that innocent mentality that allows them to look at us, even during a storm, with joy. That same reflection would suit you and your business beautifully right now, not looking down at a child, but looking into the mirror. So I just encourage you that way you felt about life when you were little, when like anything was possible, consider grasping onto that same mentality right now when it feels like nothing's possible, because we need it now maybe more than ever.
Amen. Thank you, John. If people like this group of people loves to get things they call pop buys and deliver them to their clients. So like, would In Awe make a really good pop buy gift potentially too?
He refuses flattery, Melissa. He refuses flattery.
Is JohnO'LearyInspires.com the best place for them to get boxes of your books?
So I'm honestly, like, I'm here to love you guys. I'm not here to sell anything. If you wanted a book for one person or for more, you could go to JohnO'LearyInspires.com. There's a little link there if you want me to personally sign them. I think that's cool, because then you guys are all about handwritten notes. You know the power of handwritten notes. I think now that you've met John, you realize how ordinary he is. But the people who haven't met me and are reading the book don't realize that yet. And so to have a handwritten note to them can be pretty cool. So if anybody was interested in that, I'd be happy to do it.
Well, and I was hoping that this group they're just the best of the best when it comes to note writing. Maybe they'll write a note to Brian also and tell him that we need John O'Leary back at another event someday when events are possible once again.
As you're proving right now, they're possible right now.
Yes.
Life has just changed. It hasn't ended. Thank God. It hasn't come to an end. It's just wildly changed. And whether you feel like you're isolated right now in real estate, I'm looking around the Zoom call, there's people all around you probably feeling somewhat similar. But the marketplace as a whole right now is really in flux, and they're really scared, and they're really feeling isolated. And now many of them are finding out for the first time, you're going to be homeschooling your kids again. As hard as I was for the final 2 months, you're going to be doing it for the next 4 months. And we don't know what's going to happen with your corporation. And we don't know when your next real paycheck's going to come. They're looking for help. And they don't always feel like they're finding it in their political candidates. And they don't always feel like they're finding it on social media, where everybody's acting like their lives are perfectly put together. And then they might find it in you. And so I encourage you, man, make this a season where if you're not selling a lot of homes and doing a lot of transactions, be planting a lot of seeds, because you might not only be building a business planning for 2021, 2022 and years to come, you might be keeping somebody alive. Like for me, that's a big deal. And I hope it is for you as well.
Hey, John, I'm just curious, who or what inspires you the most?
So I look at life kind of as a continuum. I try to live really present in the moment.
Sure.
It's why my phone it never rings ever, ever, ever. My phone it's on permanent silence. So I'm with you right now.
Okay.
And when I'm finished with our conversation, it's going to shut. I'm going to go hang out with my 2 little kids.
Awesome.
I'm going to take them swimming at their Gigi and grandpa's house tonight. I'm going to barbecue for my mom and dad some ribs. They never eat ribs anymore. My dad's got Parkinson's disease. Man, he struggles. And yet he's going to be outside in his wheelchair watching his grandkids swim.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to have a goofy childlike grin on his face the entire time. I see life in my dad, and I frequently see the kind of life I wish I saw in the reflection in my own mirror. Mm-hmm. And so my dad inspires me. My mom, his caretaker, inspires me. My 4 kids inspire me. My beautiful wife, man, she's behind me right now on that wall. For those of you who read In Awe, and I think I talked about on Brian's podcast, maybe, if he had it live, I think I told the story about writing a love letter to my wife every single day for 360 days. Man, she inspires me. So that's some of the place where I get inspiration. But I get far less inspiration from the guys who play baseball. I have a connection to the Dodgers and the Cardinals and many other teams through the work we do professionally. Those aren't the guys that inspire me. The guys who inspire me were the guys who did not take a few months off of the season. They're the ones who showed up with their name badges, not on the back of their jerseys, but on the front of their little cards. They stock shelves. They check people into hospitals. They're frontline workers. They're EMTs. They're firefighters. They're police officers. They're civil servants. They're social workers. In quotes there, and I'm using huge finger quotes here, they're the least among us who are by far the most important among us. They don't take the days off. They don't let something scare them from keeping themselves away from serving the one in front of them. And agents and servants and leaders, man, it is our call right now to be essential employees for those that we are called to serve. We may not be doing the same flow of transactions right now during the season, but I think we can do even better work during the season.
Wow. Sowing those seeds of character right now. Sowing the seeds of character. I like that. Melissa, I see that Mike Raines want to ask a question to John?
Oh.
Hi.
Hello there.
I know. I'm loving listening to it and I'm one of the ones that is like feeling like I'm getting bounced around and reacting and all those kinds of things. And some days I don't know which way is up and which way is down, but I am blessed to be doing good. And I appreciate being able to be here late, but I'm here. And I had a fire going on. Someone stole some patio furniture from a listing. And so I had to go calm some fears and speak life into people. So, but I do appreciate what you're saying about looking around you for inspiration that not found in what the world would consider inspirational, but people that are doing ordinary things, but really they're extraordinary.
Mike, first of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking care of the patio furniture and calming fears and breathing life back into not only clients and listings, but all of us. Like we all need that. It's hopefully a very clear message from our time together. A couple things I think might bear sharing. I also don't know which way is up. Well, but I do, because I'm guided not by the media or by the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or the most current movement or the next movement around the horizon, but my worldview by truth. And I have a North Star, man. So not only is my faith really strong during all seasons, in particular when I'm on top of the world or beat down by it. And I'm somewhere between those two right now as I wonder which way is up. But I also have a mission statement that guides me forward every single day. And I've shared this, I think I shared it at Mastermind in 2014. So for some of you, you can hit mute right now and start responding to emails. It will only take me a second to share. But a mission statement matters. And my mission statement for life answers the question why I choose to thrive. It's why you get out of bed early. It's why you do the hard work while everybody else is not. It's why you don't believe social media. Most of it's a lie. It's why you turn off the news before they start reminding you how bad everything is. So my mission statement is this: I choose to thrive because. So you all can make your own at home. I choose to thrive because God demands it. My family deserves it. The world is starved for it. Let's roll. No excuses. So I'm going to say that one more time. I choose to thrive because God demands it. My family deserves it. The world is starved for it. Let's roll. No excuses. And even that little language right there near the end, let's roll. Man, I see how broken our country is, but I also see the arc of history, and I see that it's pointing in the right direction. And so when I look for evidence of heroes, I see heroes even on September 11th, one of the worst days in our nation's history. And those words are reported right before a plane crashed in Pennsylvania. A man who was no longer going to be victim to what was happening around us, who had heard about 3 planes going into buildings, said, "Not on my watch." Who's with me? Let's roll. Let's roll. And any fool can talk about how bad life is. Anybody can do that. And it's common. But I'd so much rather walk in those steps and be right behind a real hero saying, "Come on, let's go, people. Let's roll. Let's roll." So yeah, I see some brokenness, and I see a whole lot of things that need redemption. I see a social crisis that needs solutions. But I also see a foundation that is firm. I see a nation that is wrestling, trying to get better. I see an arc that is pointing up and to the right. And I see a future that is whispering, "Hey, the best is yet to come. Follow me. Let's roll. Let's roll." So I just, where do I get inspiration when I feel like I don't know which way is up? I look up and I find an awful lot of inspiration there. And then I take the next step. Sometimes I shut my eyes, but I take the next best step.
Yeah. Well, I know you don't take flattery or whatever, but you seem like the real deal to me. We were talking about mindset, motivation, and inspiration. That mindset right there of let's roll. I mean, that's being present in the moment. That's living in the moment, and that's choosing wisely right there. That the example that you're talking about, that's exactly what I thought about when you said let's roll. As I thought of that guy, and what would you do in that situation? You don't know until you're in that situation, so that's awesome. Thank you so much, John. We want to respect your time. Melissa, did you have any last words for John as an ambassador to the John O'Leary organization and Incorporated?
I appreciate so much that you would spend some time to come on with us. And so thank you so much. And whatever we can do, and we can return the favor to you. And I know, like you said, I think it was your son that said, "Dad, let's just give all the proceeds away." And so the book's actually going to be helping the Boys and Girls Club, or not the Boys and Girls, but the Big Brother Big Sisters. So that everybody can feel good about that, and let everyone know about your podcast. And again, we want to get you up on our stage. So we're going to get some more ambassadors for you to whisper in Brian's ear.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah,
he needs yelling. Brian doesn't hear well. He's an older fella, and too many air travel trips. His hearing is almost gone. So you'll need to scream at Buffini, but eventually he'll hear you.
Yeah, thank you for being an instrument of hope, John, and an extension of who we are too. So I hope we hope we can mutually benefit you. Thank you so much for your time. We're getting on chat. I know you don't want flattery, but thank you so much we just want to encourage and support you as well.
So I really don't want flattery. I don't want to read anything or hear anything. I will only say.
Well, you're going to hear it from these folks, John. Sorry.
I'm active in Big Brothers Big Sisters as a board member, as an active volunteer. I have a little brother named Cal. Graduated that another little brother 4 years ago named Travian. First kid in his entire family to graduate high school and college. How do you change the world? That's the question everybody's wrestling with right now. And you're hearing all kinds of solutions to it. Man, I'm not smart enough to figure out the macro solutions, but I know the micro solution is one life at a time, one life at a time, one life at a time. So as you look around at all the things that are wrong with the world, you can feel buried by it, or you can look to one and say, I can do something right there. I can make a difference right here, right in my own backyard. And so maybe that's our homework assignment. And maybe you don't need to start with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Maybe start at home. Many of us during a season of unrest, we're losing sight of the things that we have right in front of us, like kids, parents, a spouse, a roommate, whatever it might be. So focus there, but then take that love away from that home, away from that safe haven, into a marketplace that has longing for it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
John.
you. Action steps, Melissa?
What more can I do?
All right, girl.
What more can I do?
Thank you,
Jack
Melissa.
question, Jack Buck question to take away. And when you read the book, which now everyone's going to, you get the second part of the Jack Buck story at the end of the book. So no spoiler, I didn't spoil it for anybody, but the second part kind of brings it all together. And so get the book and read the second part of the Jack Buck story. And that launched you that's what launched you. So. Yeah.
All right, and since John talked about Brian, so Brian's not on the call, but remember, guys, How to Love and Be Loved podcast as well. Him and Joe Ehrman. I don't know if you've listened to that, John, or not, but it's awesome.
Extra
Awesome
podcast.
stuff.
So good. All right, everybody. Thanks for
Thank
being
you, guys.
on the call today.
All right, God bless.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.